The impact of bereavement on young people is huge, particularly if that bereavement is through the death of, say, a parent or a sibling.
In bereavement, there's not really a start and a finish. It's all so many different emotions. Some of the children's parents have only recently died, some was quite a while ago. So they're all at, really different stages in their grief.
Daisy's Dream is a charity supporting children, young people and their families, all of whom have had somebody close to them die, or somebody in their family has a life-limiting illness. We're there to work directly with those children and young people, to offer them a listening ear, to be supportive to them, to help them explore and process what's happened, and actually help them face the future in a positive way. Events like today are the cornerstone of our work. Much of the support that we give is provided to children and families at home or at school on a one-to-one basis, but a group event is something very special.
These days, I think, bring the teenagers together and give them an opportunity to share some of the challenges that they're facing and recognise that they're not entirely alone, that there are other teenagers as well who are facing similar challenges or different challenges, and it just helps them in a small way feel that there are other people who understand, who properly get what it's like.
Some young people are far more eager, ready to talk. Some of them are just really, really sad. And it's about going at their pace and their level and just trying to help them and to get them to engage.
We do believe at Daisy's Dream that it is important to feel able to have fun, because those periods of having fun reduce stress, it releases, calming hormones into your body, which are really, really important.
As a small charity, we have to raise all our own income. We need to be there for children and families who do find themselves in this vulnerable and traumatic time. And to do that, we need to raise £400,000 a year. But in turn, we support over 700 children a year. And that's a lot of children and families across Berkshire. We're there for as long as it is needed. So this service is open-ended and it's as flexible as we can get it. But we can't deliver that service and be there for children and families without the support of our local communities and amazing grant-giving bodies who support our work and value our work.
Just to go and do stuff together that isn't about grief, it's not about bereavement, it's not about the challenges they're facing, it's about being ordinary teenagers, just having a good time.
I lost my husband in September 2006, and it was actually the school, primary school, the head teacher had found information about Daisy's Dream, and I think she made the first initial contact for me. Daisy's Dream has just been an incredible lifeline to me and the kids. It's put me in touch with so many people, that the counsellors that are there for us 100%, and the friends that I've made that are in the same situation, that understand exactly what I'm going through, and I understand what they're going through, and I can just be myself with them if I'm having a down day or feeling sad. If we have a special anniversary or something, I don't have to hide behind a mask and pretend everything's fine, and I have people there that do understand exactly 100% how I feel and how the children are feeling.
Maya's mum, her name was Sheena, and Sheena was a bubbly young 25-year-old. The day of the accident, it was a Sunday, we had just left church, all of us, including Maya, and Maya and her mum went over to some friends for Sunday lunch, and it was a girly afternoon, and I understand they had a wonderful time. And on the way back to Reading from Basingstoke, it was a terrible accident, a head-on collision. Unfortunately, my daughter died of the internal injuries 2 days later. I was the one that told her Mummy died, and it's the worst thing that I could have ever done. She held my hand for the rest of the night, and she said to me, "Will you be my mummy now?"
Right.
So I said to her, "Of course, I'll be your mummy, your nanny, your best friend, and anything you want me to be." The work that Maya's doing with Daisy's Dream is extremely helpful because it's done in the way that Maya can express herself through pictures or drawing or just general conversation. She's able to express herself.
We hold the weekends to enable children and families to meet with others who've shared a similar experience to themselves. Childhood bereavement is a particularly isolating experience. Very often children don't know anybody else this has happened to. It's not the sort of thing that's easy to talk about. So children can feel very, very isolated in this experience, as can parents. Parents are suddenly finding themselves often a single parent, that with all the responsibilities that go with that, whilst grieving themselves and supporting a grieving child. And they can benefit hugely from being with other parents and hearing their experiences so that they don't feel they are the only person this has happened to.
So Eleanor is here with her dad to remember her mum, and Daniel is here with his mum to remember his dad. And we've got Joseph and Isaac who are here with their dad to remember their mum. And we've got Mia who's here with her dad to remember her mum.
I think that most people approaching a group event where they don't know any of the other participants would feel a sense of apprehension. And I think given that families are in a very vulnerable position, they are all grieving, they've all experienced a major trauma in their lives, and I think a level of apprehension is absolutely understandable and natural. I think perhaps more so for the parents than for the children. I think children are children first and foremost, and whilst being apprehensive, I think they can relate to lots of the fun activities that we do, because it's very important that weekend is fun. It has a very serious content, it will be emotional at times and it will be difficult, but it has to be fun.
So I was very nervous about the weekend, yes, because you never quite know what to expect, and you don't want to get knocked sideways yourself, and you don't really want the kids to get knocked sideways either, but when they do get knocked sideways in a positive direction, then you're just hugely grateful that you came, and me too actually. For me as a parent, I think my personal journey with the parents group has been a highlight for me, of course. The other highlight is each time coming back to the children and seeing them as they always were before. And that's just not happened for a long time.
The session with the doctor is really quite a pivotal one during the course of the weekend. Children will often have had explanations as to what happened to their parent or their close family member, and explanations as to why they died and how they died. However, that information is difficult for an adult to absorb quite often, let alone a child. So the doctor slot gives them an opportunity to ask questions in a very different environment and to actually have that ready access to a member of the medical profession who's able to address those questions in a very direct, child-friendly way.
And this question is actually from Mia, isn't it? Do you want to read your question?
How did my mum get that thing in her head?
In her brain.
So, your mummy had something inside her head?
The tube that has blood through, it burst somehow, we don't know how.
Right. We don't really know how these things happen because we've all got a blood supply to our brains, and only in a very few of us does that blood supply not work properly, and sometimes it does go pop. Just like balloons normally stay big and inflated and all right, but sometimes they pop, don't they?